When an addict needs something, their sense of time is fixed to the retrieval of that thing.
Please be aware that the information we're about to share with you is of the utmost importance for your advancement. We urge you to exercise due diligence and grasp the significance of this knowledge. Its value is immeasurable, and it possesses the potential to propel you towards great achievements. Consequently, dismissing or underestimating its significance would be unwise. Embrace it earnestly, for it holds the potential to become your secret weapon, a catalyst for transformative growth. Do not disregard the opportunity to elevate yourself. Treat it with seriousness, embracing its essence and witnessing the remarkable strides that you can make. Allow this revelation to fill the gaps in your understanding, for it harbors the power to revolutionize your progress.
And when they can dilate their sense of time, they realize they have time for other options. But until you can dilate that, there's really no chance, frankly.
This video is only the beginning, and it accomplishes something quite exceptional. It encourages you to scrutinize your actions and their consequences closely. In this video, the experts have instilled a deep sense of respect for the fine balance of life through a captivating story. The warning concept is transformed into an inspiring narrative, emphasizing the power of our choices and their eventual results. You've received a warning, but with these valuable insights, you can go much further than you think. It strongly advises careful living, urging people to prioritize safety and prevent possible dangers.
When we're stressed, we're going to have a soda straw view of the world.
Right on one thing.
This relates directly to addiction because I've spent some time at addiction treatment clinics and talking to people in that community. And it's very clear that, of course, there are a huge number of factors that play into why people become addicted and relapse, et cetera. But if you can get at people's ability to control their anxiety and their feelings of peak states and happiness, you don't guarantee, but you help reinforce the possibility that they're going to get sober and stay sober. As an addict gets more tethered to the idea that some substance is the thing they need, the progressive narrowing of the things that bring them pleasure, and everything else kind of falls away like portrait mode on the phone, they're essentially in a state of high stress trying to meet that dopamine need all the time. And they don't see other possibilities. The reason I mention not just stress and treating stress to get at addiction, but also pleasure is that we've also seen this. When do people relapse? When they're feeling really good. When they're feeling really lousy and stressed, and when they're feeling really good. They've been sober for 5 years. We hear about this in the news, usually from celebrity examples. People have been doing great. All of a sudden, they're back in treatment. And you're like, what happened? Well, what happened was the dopamine circuit from other things, maybe a great life event or things are going well, or stress, the loss of a job, everything crashing, puts our visual system and the rest of our brain into a myopia. We literally become nearsighted, and the dopamine system says, that's the only thing that's gonna get me out of the mode that I'm in. They literally don't see the other possibilities. So some of the work that I'm starting to get involved in now is to try and inform the addiction treatment community, the trauma community, that there are ways to use action in the body to move people out of states of myopia, nearsightedness, and this is kind of a cognitive nearsightedness, and allow them to start parsing their time perception differently. It goes right back to time perception. When an addict needs something, their sense of time is fixed to the retrieval of that thing, or the reaching that thing. And when they can dilate their sense of time, they realize they have time for other options. But until you can dilate that, there's really no chance, frankly.
This unique video is a remarkable work that uses essential insights to bring about a powerful message that life can be delicate and quickly turn dangerous if we don't pay attention. In this video, experts went above and beyond the usual way of conveying warnings. They've woven together an inspiring plea to everyone, urging them to embrace safety and mindfulness in all their activities. The video has many truths, each carrying a strong message about the harm that can be done from ignoring warnings. It's a heartfelt call to each viewer to carefully consider their actions and strive to lead a life that's free of unnecessary risks, setting them ahead of potential trouble.
So one of the things I think is powerful is to think about, how can we leverage the visual system? How can we leverage the diaphragm system? In the same way that you would tell somebody who's has cancer or needs a surgery of a certain sort, like we need to leverage certain technologies. Well, We need to leverage certain inborn technologies of respiration and vision to be able to access states of mind that will allow us to make better choices. For the addict in that really nearsighted view, fixated, there is no other choice. And I think those early years of skateboarding and being, feral, it showed me that the people I knew that became addicts, and frankly, I know some adults who have become addicts, even who have very quote unquote functional lives. It wasn't just them. Those people, we like to think they're making a bad choice. They're making a bad decision. It's unclear to me whether or not they have a choice in those highly myopic states of mind. And so what we need to do is we need to dilate their perception of the world around them. We need to dilate their perception of time. They need to learn how to relax themselves so they can actually see other options. And it all relates to how the visual system and the breathing system relate to autonomic function. Addiction is the perfect sort of laboratory to do this. And it's so important, I think, because if it were simply the case that people just needed family support, and which they do, and they needed encouragement, and they need discouragement about making the wrong behaviors, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
It's so much more complicated than that.
This video has the potential to revolutionize your life in unimaginable ways. The power hidden within your own body, rooted in the depths of nature, is a force waiting to be harnessed. It is astonishing to contemplate what lies before you, dormant and untapped. Unlocking this potential could unlock a whole new realm of possibilities. From healing ailments to achieving personal growth, the innate capabilities of your body can guide you towards unparalleled success. Embracing the knowledge will require belief and openness, for the wonders that await might defy conventional wisdom. So, explore, research, allow yourself to be amazed by the incredible gifts that nature has bestowed upon you.
What's interesting is there's some verbiage around the yogic community that is very valuable. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but they talk about the great support that one can get from learning to access brain states of timelessness, sleep being very restorative, wakeful, deliberate disengagement being very restorative, maybe meditation, maybe through yoga nidra, maybe through simple, quick breathing techniques, but being able to dilate and contract one's sense of time and not being locked to one kind of space-time regime. The ability to recognize that I'm not seeing clearly, right? I see what I see, but I don't know what I don't see. The ability to introduce that understanding for somebody can be very powerful. And I think we need to give them tools that they can look to very quickly. I don't think we're ever gonna have a treatment for addiction that's in the form of a pharmaceutical, like one pill. Because if you start tapping into the dopamine system itself, you start degrading other aspects of life. So I think one of the reasons why addiction treatment is so complicated is that you need many elements, but the elements that come from the person themselves are ultimately the most important ones, of course. And I think physiology and neuroscience does have some tools that can lend support to that. There are a lot of data now that show, for instance, there are complete genetic changes in the cells that can, and the pathways that control dopamine and reward. And that's all wonderful to understand. But meanwhile, I think there are enough tools out there that they need to be aggregated in a way that's structured and that addiction treatment communities can leverage. One of the things that would be of great use is the idea of a biomarker. So you described that, and it's really a beautiful example of how when early on you might be able to intervene, but later it gets much harder. We need biomarkers that are gonna tell us, for some people, or their family, that somebody's at risk. Once you know how well somebody is regulating their own autonomic nervous system, you can predict pretty well whether or not they're going to succeed or fail in making good decisions. And so I do think a Whoop type device or other sensor device could be tremendously beneficial in detecting and telling people whether or not they are veering off course. I think machines are gonna help us make a lot of decisions that we're actually pretty poor at making. But the simplest of those that we might see in the next 2 or 3 years is saying, look, you've been working extremely hard on your book, you're doing very well, but you're gonna need an extra hour of sleep. I mean, that's essentially what Whoop's doing for you. Or
in 12 hours, you're gonna make a bad decision.
In 12 hours, you're gonna make a bad decision. Or insert might in there. right? You might make a bad decision so that you're more aware and you're going to devote a little more mental energy to the kinds of decisions you're making. I think that I pull a lot of all-nighters, and I still do, unfortunately, in my career, writing grants and so forth. And I have this rule that I learned, about 15 years ago, which is I don't trust any of my thinking that occurs between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. if I've been up all night. I just don't trust it because I start to think the world's falling apart. I start thinking the word "the" is misspelled. I mean, I really know I'm sleep deprived when words like "the" look misspelled, and then I'm like, what's going on? That's that duration path outcome circuitry starting to fall apart. So I think that that's an extreme example, but I think that short of having people buffer their lives with tons of activities and perfect nutrition and perfect social interactions, people learning to control their autonomic nervous system, I think, is really the next step in our species' evolution.